Hello viewers, welcome to Ekam Academy. Today, as part of the concept of the day series, we'll be discussing the concept of preamble. So why we are discussing this topic is, recently if you have seen, Supreme Court has dismissed the petitions challenging the inclusion of two different terms into preamble. So what is preamble, what is its importance, and how Parliament has amended the preamble in the past, what are all the cases related to preamble, all these will be understanding in this particular video. So stay tuned. So first, the main topic of discussion is preamble, right? So first, as we have to remember, preamble is the foreword or the introduction to the Constitution of India. So, but what is the main context? As I told you, preamble was only amended once so far, right? So that means in 42nd Amendment 1976, 3 terms were added to preamble. That means to the original Constitution of India. That means we have added socialist, secular, and the word integrated to the preamble of the Indian Constitution. So with respect to this, many cases were filed in different times, and let us understand. The first case is Balram Singh versus Union of India. Balram Singh versus Union of India. Then we have Subramanian Swamy versus Union of India. Versus Union of India case, Ashwini Upadhyay versus Union of India case. So in all these cases, the concept of adding socialist, secular, and integrity, so these principles were challenged. So these were inserted by 42nd Amendment 1976. So in the recent times also there was a petition, and that petition was actually rejected or dismissed by Supreme Court, saying these principles are according to the constitutional ideology or constitutionalism. So they have upheld the inclusion of these terms to the preamble of Indian Constitution. So in this regard, we also have to understand why Supreme Court has given such judgment. So Supreme Court said it is correct because they are in concurrence with the constitutional ethos or the constitutional provisions. So the terms are nothing but they're reflecting the constitutional ideology which the Constitution wants to give to the citizens of India. That is the main stand what Supreme Court has taken, and it also said it is also in compliance with the basic structure of Indian Constitution as propounded in the Keshwan and the Bharti versus Union of India case. And not only in this SR Bommai versus Union of India case of 1994 also, Supreme Court has said the same thing. So anything which is in compliance with the basic structure has to be upheld so that we are able to maintain that constitutional ethos in the future. That is what the highlight of the judgment of the Supreme Court. Then what are the amendments to the preamble? So amendment means we have to understand, first let us understand whether preamble is part of the Constitution or not. So if we can understand whether it is part or not, then only we can understand can we amend or not. So in one particular case called Berubari versus Union of India case of 1960, Supreme Court said preamble is not part of Indian Constitution, hence you cannot amend. But later in Keshwan and the Bharti case, it has reversed its judgment and said preamble is part of Indian Constitution. So other things like preamble, like other parts of the Constitution which can be amended, even preamble also can be amended. Hence, 42nd Amendment is the only amendment which has amended the preamble so far. That means it was only amended once. And we have seen what are those added words: socialist, secular, and integrity, or the 3 terms added to the preamble. And this was added in the light of emergency. So in the terms of emergency, there are some criticisms against the government. So to ensure that they are trying to maintain the democratic values, they have inserted this particular 3 words into the preamble by making an amendment to the Constitution. Only once it was amended. Then what is the meaning of the terms which were added to the Constitution? Socialist. Socialist means we wanted to do some, or we wanted to take some measures so that we can achieve the concept of welfare state by ensuring socio-economic justice. Socio-economic justice can be achieved by reducing all the inequalities and removing all the disparities. That is the main objective of socialist state. Or then the term of secular. Secular means officially India doesn't have any religion and India will treat all the religions equally. So those are the 2 meanings of the word secular. right? Then, so what are the reasons behind inclusion of these terms into the Indian preamble? So you have to understand, to strengthen the constitutional values and also to address the emergency era criticism also. This is in compliance along with global alignment of India's democratic value system also. We have inserted these particular words into the preamble of Indian constitution. Then how are we ensuring socialist provisions? That means we also have to take some measures to ensure that socialism is reflected in the implementation of the constitutional provisions. So for that you can quote MG Narega. MG Narega is trying to provide right to work. So that is also one way. Then we are providing food through PDS. We are providing shelter through Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. We are also providing right to education. So these are all the main initiatives you can say. Along with, you can also say Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat. So many other programs are there. So, but these are all the main programs taken by Government of India to reflect the socialist ideology in its spirit. Then secular. Secular initiatives means religious freedom has to be there. And state cannot discriminate one religion against another. So with respect to this, we have taken many measures for in protection of minorities' welfare. So many scholarship programs or any other programs, Nai Roshni, we have many programs launched for minorities' welfare. So those are all the main things. At the same time, we also have religious freedom guaranteed in India as a fundamental right. Right? So religious freedom is guaranteed under 25 to 28 of Indian Constitution. At the same time, some different acts like Places of Worship Act of 1991, right? So this was also brought mainly for ensuring religious freedom. At the same time, we also have different articles also, like Article 2930, which also includes religious minorities. And then we also have different other constitutional measures enforced by Supreme Court also, giving more importance to secular attitudes, like you can say Sabarimala judgment, okay? So, or you can say, right? So these are some examples of reflecting the secular ideology in our letter and spirit. Then what are the challenges of inclusion of secular and socialist in our preamble? So misuse of secularism is also one thing. Although we are stating that secular is a term mentioned in the preamble, but most of the times when minorities' rights are taken by government in any form, that is definitely misuse of secularism. So that is increasing in the recent instances. And then rise in economic inequality is also one thing which is against the idea of socialism. Then religious intolerance, that is also not good for the country. So everyone, even the majority and the minority, also have to live in harmony and peaceful coexistence. Then implementation issues. So although we are having many provisions in the constitution, but implementing them in the letter and spirit is the difficulties. Then what are the features of the preamble, right? So first, it is an introduction to the constitution. As I told you, it is a preface or the foreword to the constitution. But you have to understand, this concept of preamble was taken from US constitution, but preamble was enacted at the end to ensure that it is complying with all the constitutional provisions. So it was not actually enacted at the beginning. After enacting all the constitution, we have enacted preamble at the end so that it will have some compliance. Then core values of the preamble are reflecting the nature of Indian constitution: sovereign, socialist, democratic republic. Then guaranteed ideals. So we are also ensuring justice, liberty, equality and fraternity to all the citizens of India. At the same time, the guiding principle is the constitutionalism, or the guiding law or the fundamental law of the land is the constitution, and that is also reflected through this preamble. Then, so what are the components? We have seen the source of authority is the people, we the people of India. That is the starting of the preamble. So source of authority is we, that means the people of India, or the source of authority of the constitution or the preamble. Then nature, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So that is the nature. Object is justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. And date of adoption, that is yesterday, 26 November 1949. That is why we celebrate Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas, right? Then, so what are all the cases you have to remember with respect to this preamble is Berubari versus Union of India case. In this, they said it is not part of Indian constitution. Preamble is not part of Indian constitution. In Keshwananda Bharti case, they have reversed and said preamble is part, so you can even amend without violation of basic structure. And in LIC versus Union of India case also, they said preamble is part of Indian constitution. That means present day status is preamble is considered as integral part of Indian constitution, which can be amended. So let us see the conclusion. So once, if we wanted to ensure that the constitutional ideologies are getting implemented and reflected in true letter and spirit, then it is right time to uphold the constitutional provisions related to preamble as well. So inclusion is definitely correct. Then let us see the practice question. Which of the following provisions of the Constitution of India were given immediate effect on 26 November 1949? So citizenship is one, elections and is one, right? So that answer is here 1 and today's practice question. Consider the following statements. Preamble can be amended by simple majority in Parliament. Preamble was adopted and enacted by Constituent Assembly. So among these, which you feel is correct, let me know in the comment section. Then today, as part of the concept of the day series, we have discussed about an important concept regarding polity, that is preamble of Indian Constitution. We also have discussed the recent Supreme Court judgment regarding the inclusion of certain terms into preamble of Indian Constitution. So this is all. If you like the video and found informative, please let me know in the comment section. Thanks for joining. All the very best.